Rich Harden set for the bottom half of the fourth inning, game 3 of this American League Championship Series. Harden allowed the first 3 batters of the game to reach, leading to 2 runs. He walked the bases loaded in the second, allowed a leadoff double by Polanco down the left field line in the third, but then retired Ordonez, Guillen, and Rodriguez, and appeared to be much sharper in that third inning. Omar Infante, Brandon Inge, and Ramon Santiago here in the Tigers' fourth. We mentioned earlier all 8 teams which lost the first 2 games in a best-of-7 LCS at home have wound up losing the series. If you include the World Series, a total of 21 teams have lost the first 2 games at home. Only 3 of the 21 have come back to win the series. The 85 Royals, the 86 Mets, and the 1996 New York Yankees, who lost the first 2 games at home to Atlanta and came back to win 4 in a row.
Right now, Oakland's job is just to try to get the series back to Oakland.
3-2 on Infante, and a bouncing ball up the middle into center field, a base hit. So there you go again, Infante in the lineup. He's been on base twice. We caught up with Ken Maka in between innings and asked his impressions of Rich Harden.
Well, a little rusty there in that first inning. Really, if he would have gotten ahead in the count to Monroe, that's probably a double play ball, Lou. I don't know. It was hit. It looked like it was hit right in the vacated spot there. So he probably could have gotten out of that first inning with no damage at all. But still, he's walked a few guys. He's a little rusty. I mean, the first 4 pitches he threw, he kind of bounced. But last inning, pretty good. So hopefully we'll get a couple more good innings out of him.
Yeah, he has thrown 56 pitches, Ken. Has he talked to you about how he feels right now?
No, he walked by. He got a little snicker on his face, so that's all good. So, I can't see where he's not going to get to 100.
Thanks, Ken.
All right.
Really enjoyed our time with Ken Maka. Born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Played collegiately at the University of Pittsburgh, and he has done an outstanding job for this Oakland Athletics team. The story has been told time after time about very low payroll in a small market. Yet here they are again in the postseason this year, advancing around for the first time in a long time. '70th pitch of the game by Harden. The fastball swung on and missed by Brandon Inge. 1-2.
And Tom, how about the fact that Ken Maka almost didn't come back to manage this club this season?
Swing and a miss. He threw a fastball right by him. Third strikeout of the game for Rich Harden. Time to take a look at our game summary, brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Placido Polanco, the man who made the Tigers go the entire year before he injured his shoulder, wearing it out in the postseason and wearing out Rich Harden again. And Kenny Rogers, never known as a postseason big game pitcher, he's not allowed a single run in 11 2/3 innings in 2 starts this postseason.
Well, Rogers is really doing his job. Santiago up here in the 9th hole, Infante can run a little bit, so I would be looking for Leland to put this game in motion with a 2-0 lead.
Harden thinking the same. Two pitches thus far by Harden. You heard Ken Maka say a moment ago they'd like to not go much further than 100.
At this pace, you got about 5 innings in him.
Well, 2-0 the count. Big lead over there by Infante. There he goes. And nobody covered second base for the Athletics. Holy Moses. Well, you have a brand new middle infield. Scudero's been at short for a while due to the injury to Bobby Crosby, but now it's Jimenez.
Well, someone's got to be there. I mean, the communication between middle infielders, every pitch they're looking at each other, reminding which guy is covering. I don't know how that can possibly happen. Maybe Scudero couldn't hear with that beanie hat over his head there.
Yeah, but don't you do the mouth motion,
Yes.
you know, the mouth open, the mouth closed kind of thing?
Absolutely. The communication is not verbal. It's a sign, open mouth, closed mouth. You have to do that before every pitch. There's no way you can mess up that communication. The reason why you have that communication is you're trying to figure out if they decide to hit and run. Sometimes the infielders will cross it up. On a hit and run play, that would mean that the second baseman would go ahead and cover because he's trying to hit the ball the other way through the hole. If you keep it straight up and you don't think they're going to hit and run on a straight steal, the shortstop should cover because Santiago's a left-handed hitter.
Rio shows bunt, takes a strike.
Now, Santiago's only walked one time all year in 80 at-bats. He's already got one walk today.
Yep.
And he's 3-1 in this count.
Jim Leland telling him to take.
Well, he let him swing 3-1 the last at bat. He fouled it back before drawing the walk, and with a runner in scoring position and 1 out and a 2-0 lead, swings away and comes up empty. Runner at second, 1 gone. Payoff pitch into center field, a sinking liner. Kotze makes a catch, and hustling back to the bag is Infante. He had gone about a little more than halfway before realizing that Kotze had a chance to get to it, which he did.
Watch Infante. He doesn't think anyone's going to catch this ball. He takes off. Makes the great adjustment right there because he realized Kotze in center field can run him down. Got a great jump on that ball. And he was lucky to get back, but he did.
And that's one of the things that Leland was talking about before the ball game, that he's got an advantage. The opposing outfielders sometimes play a little too deep, and Detroit hitters get a lot of those little bloopers in there.
Swing and a miss by Curtis Granderson, who has walked twice in the game and scored a run. 0-1 to Granderson. And a fastball misses away. For the first time today, Ken Maka has his bullpen busy. The starter the entire year, right-hander Joe Blanton cranking it up.
Talked about Curtis Granderson and his ability in center field. Last year, Detroit, we talk about the rookies and the young players in this organization. They drafted a kid named Cameron Maben, who's being compared to Ken Griffey Jr. in center field.
In the air, right center field. Kotze on the run and will flag it down in front of the track. A couple of huge plays in the inning by Kotze. And we're back after a break from your local Fox station.
How do you know if you're an outfielder and you're going to run the ball down? Right there. Hang loose. Shaka bra. I got it all under control. Takes about 5 steps, not even looking at the ball. Great outfielders will turn and run. They know where the ball's coming down. And that was a sweet play right there.
Saved a sure run and a possible inside the park home run, because Granderson can run.
It's a long way to run out there. Talk about turning points in ball games. That could be one right there if the A's get back into this.
Well, they did it with a glove in that inning. They better find a way to start doing something with the lumber. Rogers working on a 1-hit shutout, has retired 8 in a row. And it's a ladder third in the batting order. Nick Swisher, Marco Scudero, and D'Angelo Jimenez.
Well, Swisher hasn't done much in this series, but I really loved his approach in his last at-bat. He's much more quiet at the plate.
Inge behind the bag with a strong throwing arm. One away.
They talk about Inge being the most athletic third baseman in the league. That's picture perfect right there. Boy, third basemen that have good arms love to show it off, and you never get to show it off more than on a backhand play.
Especially deep in the hole like that.
Nine in a row set down by Kenny Rogers, who grew up in Plant City, Florida. That is the strawberry capital of the United States of America. And in fact, he is the son of a strawberry farmer. Wasn't allowed to play baseball before his senior year in high school because it conflicted with the strawberry season. And the family farm was more important than Rogers playing baseball. The only year he played, he was a left-handed shortstop. So when the Rangers drafted him and turned him into a pitcher, he had no clue what to do out on the mound. And here he is, 200+ victories later. Started this year's All-Star game. Of course, he's thrown a perfect game. That was back on July the 28th, 1994. Pitching for the Rangers against the Angels.
He probably went to Plant City High School. Their nickname, the Planters.
Base hit into right field off the bat of Marco Scutaro.
He probably hates strawberries, too.
That's only the second hit allowed by Kenny today. He had retired 9 in a row. So focused again for the start. Not the emotion thus far we saw in the Yankee outing, but we've seen it from time to time. We're still very early in this game.
Struck out 4 hitters, 4 different sequences.
Rogers has always had a problem with his temper. He would be the first to admit it. Even back his days as an Oakland Athletic, traded punches with a teammate. Jason McDonald in 1999 destroyed phones and a bathroom paper dispenser coming out of a game in San Francisco. And then, of course, last year, everybody knows about getting tangled up with a television cameraman while playing for the Rangers. Wound up suspended 20 games. There's a roller down to third. Can they turn two? The answer is yes. Two runs, 4 hits for the Tigers. No runs and 2 hits for the Athletics against Kenny Rogers. Rich Harden still on the mound. And you'd have to say it's been a pretty successful start for Harden. Bear in mind, missed almost the entire season. Made only 9 starts. Half of those, well, a little less than half of the 9 were made at the start of the year before he injured an oblique muscle. Then missed over 3 full months with a sore elbow. In the air, well hit by Monroe. Is it 3-0 Tigers? You betcha. Monroe, his 3rd postseason home run, his first in this league championship series.
This kid is some kind of fastball hitter, too. Goodness, this one's right down Broadway. Went down and got it. He's a low ball hitter for a right-hander. And that's something. Just pulverized that pitch. Didn't get out by far, but that's because it's windy and it's heavy air. But look at the concentration, the swing, perfect balance, hitting off of that stiff front leg.
And a really high finish, which allowed him to get really good weight shift into that swing.
Here's the finish you're talking about, Lou. Way up above that left shoulder. We were talking last night, and you said, hey, guys that finish low don't have power. You got to extend that ball up over your left shoulder if you're going to hit the ball out of the yard. I should have tried that more often.
Soft liner caught by Swisher at first off the bat of Polanco. We caught up with Jim Leland in between innings and asked about something he touched upon before the game when his team used patience with Rich Harden.
Yeah, I think we've done a pretty good job. This is one of those like and dislikes games for a manager, though, Lou. You know, it seems like we should have 4 runs or so, and that, you know, the good part is I think we made him work, but the bad part is we really haven't put any numbers on the board other than the 2 spot, and that's, you know, that concerns me a little bit.
He talked about Kenny Rogers and his focus in his last start against the Yankees. Looking pretty good out there right now, too, isn't he?
Well, so far so good. He's mixing them up pretty good, trying to keep them off balance, and that's his game. He's not throwing quite as hard as he did the other day, but he's pitching pretty good, obviously.
All right, thanks a lot, Jim.
Okay.
Skipper Jim Leland, his team leading 2-0 in his best-of-7 series, and after the home run by Monroe, a 3-0 lead here in Game 3. Boy, it is amazing how the things that Jim Leland so far in this series has done, even talked about with us when we gather with him a couple of hours before the game, all seem to come to fruition.
Well, he knows his players, and it starts with that. A manager has to know what a player can do and not do. Also, he's got a lot of statistics. Major league managers today get a lot of different statistics on who hits whom, where they hit in the lineup best, and then you've got a little bit of that gut feeling, which I think Jim Leland has.
He uses a lot of the gut feelings with the moves that he's made. We talked about it in the open of the show. Puts Alexi Gomez into Game 2. The kid comes through with a big home run and 4 RBIs. No one had heard of that kid before Game 2. Today, 2 guys making their first postseason starts ever. Infante and Santiago have both been on base.
And what do you tell us about Monroe? I'm moving him up in the 2-hole because I think he'll get an extra at bat and might hit a home run for us today.
Might run into one.
He just did.
Eerie. Makes you wonder if it's in the cards for the Detroit Tigers.
But the thing that you can't get away from as well with the Tigers is the job that Dombrowski has done here as the general manager. This organization lost 119 games 3 years ago.
Fly ball to center field, and that'll end the inning. The solo home run by the Tiger left fielder makes it 3-0 after 5. Top half of the 6th inning in Game 3 of this American League Championship Series. Monroe's home run in the 5th has given Detroit a 3-0 advantage. Top of the order against Kenny Rogers for the Athletics. Kendall, Kotze, and Bradley coming up. Strike 1. How about those numbers for Kenny Rogers in the postseason? First 9 games, allowed an earned run per inning. Has not allowed a single run in 2 starts this postseason. Sinking liner, Ordonez slides into it for out number 1. Well, it might be cold, but this place came to life after this home run by Monroe in the 5th.
Well, that's a good-looking swing.
Didn't rush. Didn't jump. Kept his head right on the ball.
Kotze 0 for 2, and this should be 0 for 3 on the ground ball to Santiago.
Boy, look at his head right on that ball, and look at that real high finish. All that weight shift. And when I talk about weight shift, you hit the ball with your body weight. As opposed to trying to muscle it out of the ballpark.
Well, the A's having a hard time muscling anything out of the infield. They have 2 hits in the game. The very first batter of the game, Jason Kendall, had an infield hit. Thomas hit by a pitch in the opening inning. That was the only inning the A's have put more than one base runner aboard against Rogers. A 1-out walk to Swisher in the second, and Rogers retired 9 in a row before a Scudero single in the right with 1 out in the 5th. And here we are 2 deep in the 6th, and all is quiet on the Oakland front.
He's just keeping that ball down in the zone. He's got good movement. He's changing speeds off of his pitches, and these Oakland hitters are just beating the ball into the ground.
Oh, when he's on, he's going to get a lot of ground balls, throwing a ton of changeups and a ton of breaking balls, and throwing just enough fastballs to keep him honest.
Still 1-2. Only 70 pitches thrown so far in this game by Rogers.
And all the other second guessers out there that Jim Leland's had to deal with said, why would you not throw Rogers in game 2 in Oakland, where he's 23-1 since '95 in that ballpark? Heck, it's 12-4 here.
Well, you notice one thing. This series went 7 ball games. Game 3 pitcher pitches game 7. So he's got the right guy. Of course, ahead 2-0 in the series and 3-0 in the 6th inning. Leland's not looking for 7 ball games.
No.
And when you start talking about Rogers, only 4 active left-handers in Major League Baseball have more wins than Kenny Rogers. That's pretty impressive.
That's a who's who list.
And you got Glavine, Randy Johnson, Wells, Jamie Moyer.
207 wins.
Just off the outside corner with that changeup. Boy, what a pitch that was by Rogers, and didn't get the call he wanted.
And that's what Bradley and the rest of the A's have to do. This is a great job by Milton Bradley, just spitting on that pitch. Try to get a better pitch to hit. So far, all day long, they've been swinging at Kenny Rogers' pitch.
Look at Bradley. He's off the plate. I like the idea off of a pitcher like Rogers. Get him out of his rhythm. Get up on the plate. Make him pitch you inside.
To the count on Bradley. Crowd still standing, cheering, willing Rogers to end the 6th. Which he does. Bottom half of the 6th inning, still Rich Harden on the mound. Has allowed 3 runs on 5 base hits. The first 2 runs coming in the opening inning. And then a solo home run to start the 5th by Curtis Monroe. Devon Rodriguez to lead things off. Will be followed by Infante and then Inge. So the activity in the bullpen earlier was Joe Blanton. Now Chad Godin cranking it up. Justin Duchcher, their outstanding reliever, has been unavailable the last couple of games with pain in his neck. Pudge a soft line drive at Jimenez. Our HP personality profile zeroes in on Ivan Pudge Rodriguez. Grew up in Puerto Rico. Loves reading about boats and airplanes. $11 Gold Gloves. He wants another ring. Of course, Rodriguez in 2003 won a World Series title with the Florida Marlins and then left to come to Detroit. Lost 91 games last season.
Pudge Rodriguez in his prime, was really the only guy in the game for a while who changed the way the game was played defensively. Because if you could run, you'd stick your running game in your back pocket, because he took that away from you defensively, took away one of your biggest weapons. Still throws pretty good.
Well, I managed against him all those years with the Seattle Mariners. And you're right. You really thought long and hard sending base runners against Pudge. But I used to kid him all the time. You better get that arm cranked up because we're going to be running.
You had to have it at least in his mind that you were still going to try.
How did you do when you ran against him, Lou? Because you had some Seattle teams that stole a lot of bases. That was a big part of winning 116 games.
Yeah, we had to pick our pitches, pick our counts. And speed was an important factor in the success of our team. We had the type of ballpark where we had to have that type of feel over at Safeco Field.
Yeah, pick your pitches, pick your counts, and then hit a lot of doubles.
Good point. 3-2 to count on Omar Infante, who's been aboard twice in the game. And well, here we are, fellas, getting late for the Athletics. You're already down 2-0, and they have 9 outs to play with. They've only managed a grand total of 2 base hits. As Harden fans Infante.
Well, tell me, that strikeout of Milton Bradley in the last inning was huge, because now you'll have Frank Thomas leading off another inning. Second time in this game he's led off. He's the guy that can do some big damage to you. Not so much when there's no one out there to drive in.
Yeah, you would love to see Frank come up with a couple men on base, see what he can do.
Now Brandon Inge, Harden at 100 pitches in the game.
I would anticipate that this will be Harden's last inning. And to his credit, after starting off shakily, he settled down and done a nice job for this Oakland ball club.
It was just wild enough to be effective.
We're getting an idea of just how special this kid has a chance to be if he can stay healthy, which he's been unable to do during his very short major league career. I mean, here he is. Did not come back until September the 20th. Off the disabled list for the A's. Did not pitch a single game in the division series. They sent him down to Arizona to pitch in an instructional league game, a simulated game, to get ready for this start. And here he is, the biggest game of the year for the A's. And it looks like he'll get through 6 innings. And hoping it'll be at 3 runs. 3-1 on Inge.
Well, he did a nice job, too. I mean, he struggled through the first, and then Monroe took him deep. But other than that, I mean, he has put his team in a position to win a ball game, but they can't score.
And there's a walk. And do you go get him now or leave him in to face Santiago?
I think they're going to go get him.
Ken Maka will call on Godin from the bullpen. The A's trail 3-0. All Detroit Tigers thus far in this American League Championship Series. A very solid effort today, however, by Rich Harden. 5 2/3 innings, allowed 5 hits, was wild, walked 5, struck out 4. And so far, the 3 runs. The runner at first, of course, his responsibility, and now taking over on the mound for Ken Maka's team. We've seen him in each of the first 2 games of this series is Chad Godin. He's worked 2 1/3 innings so far in this league championship series, allowed 2 hits and no runs. Very critical part of each of these bullpens. Not having for the A's Dukeshire, their best setup man, as a right-hander getting the ball to Houston Street. And we know all about Joel Zumaya. Was unavailable for game 2, and more than likely is unavailable for this game 3.
Got a very strange wrist injury that the trainers and doctors are kind of baffled by. They've never really seen it before.
1-0 on Ramon Santiago. Taken away 2-0.
I got to think, when you throw a fastball 103 miles an hour, puts a little extra torque on your arm in places where other guys might not feel it.
Well, when you hear about somebody's wrist and forearm, the first thing you think of is in the inside of the wrist or the forearm. For Zumaya, it is on the top part of his wrist and forearm. And there's strike. Samaya missed time in September with the same injury. They gave him a cortisone shot. They said they will not give him another cortisone shot during this postseason. Well, you're asking for trouble. If you put Santiago aboard knowing that Granderson is next. I told you Santiago had walked one time in 80 at-bats this season. And wouldn't you know it, he walked his first time up in the game, and then he had a double taken away on a great play by Kotze. 3-2.
Now that was a take there from Leland.
And he's had a 3-2 count every at-bat.
Short left field. Bradley's got it. And Payton, and that will end the inning. We're back to Detroit after a break from your local Fox station. The Tigers at the end of 6 with a 3-0 lead in Game 3 of this American League Championship Series over the Oakland Athletics. And Kenny Rogers again the story. Working on a 2-hitter. Went 7 2/3 innings in that Game 3 start against the Yankees. Allowed 5 hits, no runs. Frank Thomas, first pitch swinging. And that is not his MO, and that's how things are going for Thomas. Still without a hit in this league championship series. Time for our Holiday Inn look again play from Game 2. Bases loaded in the 9th inning. Thomas representing the winning run, just missed. That fastball from Jones. That's brought to you by Holiday Inn, the official hotel of Major League Baseball. Let's check in with Chris Myers.
Tom, I talked to Frank Thomas before the game analyzing this situation and his own, and he said it would be stupid to panic, but I realize that I have to step up. Recalling his last ALCS some 13 years ago, he said, I was a much younger player then, but I know this team is counting on me to deliver it. At some point I'm going to have to. So far for the big hurt, it's been the big chill.
It's amazing to me that Ordonez even made that play that far into foul territory in right field. Frank Thomas is a dead pull hitter, and Ordonez played with him, and he knows it. Frank was surprised that he was anywhere near catching that ball.
0-2 to Payton. But you certainly sense, Steve Lyons, Lou Piniella, that when you see Frank Thomas, generally a very patient hitter, selective hitter, going up there here in the 7th inning to lead things off down 3. First pitch swinging. Not going to say panic, but certainly tense times for the Oakland A's.
I think you get yourself into a bad situation when you're not going good, and then you change the things you do best.
Payton able to fight that one off, and still 0-2. Lou, we asked Ken Maka before the game, do you say anything to your guys? Down 2-0 before you take the field here in Game 3. He said no.
No, you really don't as a manager. These guys have responded all year. They know what they need to do. They're just not getting it done. If you have to give a team a pep talk at this stage, something is really, really wrong. Give the Detroit pitching a lot of credit. They've done a real nice job this series.
But I think it depends on who your team is, too, because Jim Leland, I believe, has daily talks with his team. He told us today that he would talk to them about the cold. I'm not going to go out there and lie to you. I'm not going to say it's not that bad. I'm going to say deal with it. It's cold. Let's play our best in the cold.
To the count on Jay Payton. And he's 0 for 3. 6 strikeouts for Kenny Rogers.
There's some of the emotion that we've been waiting to see out of Rogers. We showed you Harden's pitch selection. Let's show you what Kenny Rogers looks like. Here's his fastball grip. There's the changeup, not a circle change. He just kind of grabs it like a 3-year-old and throws it. chokes it back. And then look at the curveball with the index finger up off the ball, virtually throws that pitch with one finger.
And that's something that if I were a hitter, I would be looking for. Once I saw that finger, I'd say to myself, here comes that breaking ball. Again, Peyton's way out in front of the changeup, but he's deep in the box away from home plate. Boy, you would like to see these Oakland hitters get on the plate and make Rogers change his pattern a little bit. Last night at Shea Stadium, very similar type performance from another really good lefty, Glavine. Changing speeds, pitching to the outside part of the plate, coming inside occasionally, mixing in a curveball. Same results as Rogers is getting tonight.
Rogers has fallen behind Chavez. 2 balls and no strikes. Eric 0 for 2 today. 2 balls and a strike. We brought up earlier, wanted to finish the story. Everybody remembers the confrontation that Rogers had with that cameraman in Texas last year, Larry Rodriguez. It should be noted that after they settled that, while they were leaving the courtroom, Rogers closed the door in the same room with Larry Rodriguez and shook his hand for what Rodriguez said was 10 minutes. He said he told me he was truly sorry. We wound up talking for 20 more minutes, just the 2 of them. And he said how weird it was that he held onto his hand. He could tell he was truly sorry for that incident. And he's making Oakland truly sorry they showed up for Game 3.
Boy, these fans are really into this ball game now.
Did he go? Oh.
Just a good breaking ball by Rogers. Chavez does a really, really nice job of laying off. That ball had some really tight rotation on it.
The crowd's getting into it, and they were ready to jump out of their seats if that was called a strike.
Slow tapper to the right side, and Kenny Rogers, 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs. Time to take a look at our game summary brought to you by Nissan. Greg Monroe, a home run to spread it out from 2 to 3, but Kenny Rogers has been the story. For that matter, the entire Detroit pitching staff has been the story. 24 of the 75 batters retired in this LCS have struck out against Tiger pitching by the A's.
And not that many balls have been hit hard. A lot of soft outs.
And look at the way this series has gone. They've kind of reversed roles. It was the Tigers that were known to never walk and strike out a ton. It was the Oakland offense that was very patient, although bad numbers when you get into some of the other things, like worst in the league and with runners in scoring position. The offense has been non-existent. As you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Lou, not only their offense, but they had not gotten good starting pitching as well.
Now Harden today started off shakily, but he's given them a chance. Oakland still got 6 outs.
Anderson to start things. He'll be followed by Monroe and then Polanco against Godin, who got the final out in that 6th inning in relief of Rich Harden. Ken Maka telling the story after the game 2 in Oakland. Was asked by a local television station to come out on the field and do a friend a favor by going on live. None of the players would come on after an Oakland loss. Maka agreed. He came out and there were still about 10 people lingering around the Athletics dugout, fans in the stand, and apparently some guy just lit into Maka like there was no tomorrow. Extremely vulgar language while Maka was trying to conduct an interview. As there's ball 4 to Granderson. And all of it was talking about why not using Duksher. He's hurt is the reason why. Let's check in from Los Angeles with Jeannie Zelasco.
The fashion trend is catching on. Albert Pujols is ready. How about you? It's Game 2 of the NLCS coming your way from Shea. The Mets send the rookie John Maine into battle with Cy Young Award winner Chris Carpenter, Cardinals looking to rebound. Game 2 of the NLCS coming up next on Fox.
Jeannie, thank you very much. Carpenter pitching in the clinching game for the Cardinals during the division series game 4, went 7+ innings, allowed 2 runs.
And that rainout that they had at Shea was an advantage for the Cardinals. That allowed them to pitch Carpenter game 2 as opposed to game 3.
And even more important now, obviously, Lou, after you lost last night's game, if you're the St. Louis Cardinals, to have your big gun to try and even the series.
Especially against a young Met pitcher in Maine.
We bring up Dukeshire and the incident the other day because this is without question a situation that he would be in the game right now.
And there's been a couple of those in this series so far. They're not sure exactly what's wrong with him. And you got to give credit to Ken Maka too, because Dukeshire wants to pitch. But he looks at his training staff and says, can I hurt the guy if I run him out there? And the trainers aren't sure, so he's not going to take that risk. Pinched nerve in his neck. They're not exactly sure what the problem is. Can't raise his arm up. Dukeshire says, I want to go. But Ken Maka is not going to put a guy in a game that may potentially injure themselves.
Well, that's exactly what a major league manager should do in that situation. The guy isn't healthy. If he's hurt, you don't use him. That's how you get further hurt. You've got a guy that will be a key component of their bullpen for many years to come.
Yeah, these are big games, but that's his career.
They're paying a lot of attention, rightfully so, to Granderson over at first base. You may remember they played hit and run early in the game with this duo when Granderson led off the first inning with a walk, and then Monroe had a base hit into right. It's 2-1. If you're going to do it, Lou Piniella, is this a count to do it? A lot of managers like this count.
Yeah, I don't think that with Monroe up there that Leland will put the hit and run on. I think he'll allow Monroe to pick out a pitch that he can drive. I don't think he'll want to take the bat out of his hand by hitting and running in this situation.
Maybe just a straight steal.
There goes a runner. Taken inside. No chance to get him.
That's the base stealing speed that Granderson has. Jim Leland hates guys getting thrown out, though. That's why he's less aggressive on the bases. Great jump by Granderson. He will learn to steal more bases. He wants to go more often.
Well, you see him look in there. Does that tell you the hit and run is on? Him looking back, a lot of times at least, that's what you hear from base runners.
Well, with less than 2 outs, you better look back as a runner.
You want to see if someone's swinging the bat, regardless of whether or not it's a hit and run. You can get decoyed by a middle infielder if you don't know where the ball is. If the guy hits the ball and you don't take one peek like Granderson did, they can decoy you into sliding into second base on a ball that's a double in the gap.
Monroe, a couple of hits, including a solo home run back in the 5th. 3-1 the count. Breaking ball, grounded foul. That home run by Monroe came in the 5th, his 3rd in this postseason, his 1st in this league championship series, and there was no debate when it left the bat.
Well, I can't take enough looks at that swing.
Did he go the appeal? No, says Chuck Merriweather. And that's ball 4. Back-to-back walks now here in the 7th by Godin. Let's take a peek at our Travelers in Sync box score for the Detroit Tigers. They only have 5 hits in the game.
You know, I know that Polanco's been lights out swinging the bat this series, and he's hit Oakland really, really well all year. But I wouldn't be surprised here if Polanco doesn't lay the ball down, advance 2 runners, see if Detroit can tack on a run or 2.
Polanco had 8 sacrifices during the regular season. And while we have a moment, let's send it downstairs to Chris Myers.
Tom, we saw Granderson stealing second. He's from Chicago, telling me before the game his mom and dad, family, relatives driving over to see him play here in person. He thought he was going to be a basketball player growing up. It wasn't until his sophomore year in college when a scout noticed his explosiveness, his quickness, which has helped him playing in the outfield, and obviously it helped Curtis Granderson steal that base moments ago.
Well, let's see if Polanco is indeed asked to put down the sacrifice. He has 2 hits, including an RBI today. He squares.
I like this type of baseball.
I'm with you.
When you have a lead late in the ball game, what you want to do is find, how can I tack on runs? Now, I wouldn't be surprised here if the count gets right that you might hit and run with Polanco and send both runners. Now you've got both corners in. The 2 middle infielders are bunched up the middle, cheating a little bit. There are a lot of holes out there.
The only reason I don't like that with nobody out is a line drive at a middle infielder is a triple play.
Triple play. Well, that's the chance that you take.
But the reason you're taking a chance is because you're ahead.
Oh, you can be so much more aggressive if you're Tim Leland right now than you can if you're Ken Mockin.
Polanco squares. But he handles the bat so well, does Polanco, that he's the kind of guy that he might show you bunt so the pitcher's thinking bunt, and then just pull the bat back and put the bat on the ball.
Well, the decision is if he continues to bunt.
Oh, what a great play by Scudero. That ball almost went right into center field.
I like the A's beanie cap over the baseball cap look. There's a quick replay. That ball could have easily gotten past him, and with Granderson's speed, you know he stands up and he's ending up on third base.
0-1. And he puts down the bunt. They're going to third. They got the out. What a play by Godin. He could not have gotten the runner at second. He had no chance to spin and throw the runner out at first, so he goes to third.
I'll tell you what, that play is just a little bit too far towards the pitcher's mound, but Polanco put the bunt down on the right side. What you're trying to do there is get Chavez to field it, but watch Godin like a cat go straight to the third base line, make that play, and throw the ball onto third base.
And I think the runner beats the throw.
I think you're right.
It was awfully close down there.
Now Maglio Ordonez. Let's take a look at that call at third base by Mike Riley.
Yeah, I think Mike missed that one. Close play. And he was right on top of it.
Broken bat with about 4 pieces.
But I think you see Granderson gets his foot in. There you go.
Well, that's a real nice play by both Godin and by Chavez. He was so close, and he had to put a little mustard on that throw.
Chavez had his back turned to him. That is close.
0-2 on Ordonez. And a ground ball to short. Can they turn 2? There's one. Throw to first in the dirt. Swisher able to get a glove on him, but can't pick it cleanly.
And again, there is the absence of Ellis at second base. Turns the ball so well. Jimenez has had trouble, Steve, the whole time.
Yes, he has. And I'll tell you what, Swisher got lucky here, too. He knocks this ball down, but given the score in this game and the importance and how late it is, as a first baseman, you should come off the bag and smother that ball. Because if it gets by you, a run scores, and you can't afford to have a run scoring this late in the ball game, make it a 4-0 game. Swisher knocks it down.
Carlos Guillen coming up. They're going to bring on Joe Kennedy out of the Athletics bullpen. We'll be right back. Well, you turn Guillen around. He bats from the right side. Runners on the corners, 2 away, and Joe Kennedy on to face him. And there's strike 1. We've seen Kennedy In now 3 straight games in this series, 2/3 of an inning, 1 hit, no runs in game 1, an inning and a third, no hits, no runs in game 2.
This could be a huge lift for the A's if they can get out of this inning. And remember the situation, first and second, nobody out. They were trying to bunt themselves into a situation where they could score 2 runs. They may score none.
Tapper down to third, and that'll end the inning. So the A's wiggle off the hook. We move to the 8th, 3-0 Detroit. Nighttime nearly upon us in downtown Detroit, Michigan. Wind chill down in the high 20s. It was in the low 30s when we got started 2.5 hours ago. And certainly the Athletics bats have been put in a deep freeze through the first 7 frames by Kenny Rogers. Here we go in the 8th. Swisher taking all the way. The A's need base runners. Ball 1 to Swisher.
Well, they've gone through the lineup a few times. Kenny Rogers isn't going to change his game plan, especially for a guy like Swisher, who they've been throwing a steady diet of changeup and breaking balls. He better start sitting on one, and the rest of this lineup has got to do something right now.
He's getting the ball up. He hasn't done that all game.
Fernando Rodney getting loose in the bullpen. Of course, Kenny Rogers was for so many years known for walking Andrew Jones with the bases loaded, ending the New York Mets season in 1999, 1 game short of the World Series.
And one of the telltale signs for a manager is when that pitcher starts getting the ball up, especially when he's a low ball pitcher.
2-0 to Swisher, taking all the way, 3 balls and no strikes. Rogers talked about that walk time after time after time through the years. You see his next pitch will be his 90th. Here's a 3-0 to Swisher. And there's a strike he might take again. 1999 game 6 at Turner Field in the 11th inning. Game tied at 9. Rogers, after intentionally walking Chipper Jones and Brian Jordan, then walked Andrew Jones to score the series-ending run. There's a strike to Swisher, and he can't believe the call by Darryl Cousins.
Well, I tell you, I thought it was a pretty good pitch. But right now, the A's feel like everything's going not their way. That ball came back over the plate. Starting to see a little frustration from the A's right now.
Payoff pitch. Ball 4.
Good at bat.
A really patient at bat by Swisher. Yeah. He started to get the ball up for the first time. Leland noticed it.
Well,
and Rodney's out there warmed up, so I would expect a pitching change.
Rogers has been brilliant, and Rodney's been lights out when he's had his chance.
Well, you can't say enough, though, about Kenny Rogers. I mean, you saw the 20 innings in his career in the postseason, having allowed 20 earned runs. And Jim Leyland has not given the official word in that bullpen that he wants Rodney yet. He might be talking things over with Rogers. He's going to leave him in.
That's showing his veteran pitcher a ton of respect.
Boy, that's one of the things you love about Jim Leyland. Not one of those guys to play everything by the book. Lou, you brought it up earlier. Sometimes you go with your gut. He wanted to hear it from Rogers, look him in the eye, and heard enough. I'm leaving him in.
And probably the fact that he doesn't have Big Zumaya up there has some semblance of why he kept him in the ballgame.
And now he'll face Marco Scutaro, 1 for 2 in a game.
I think we officially changed Zumaya's name from Joel to Big.
Yeah, just Big Zumaya. Strike.
Got Kilty on the on-deck circle. He swings the bat pretty well from the right side, too.
Fouled off behind the plate. And with that in mind, we'll see if maybe Leyland comes out after this batter. Kelty has done most of his damage through the years against left-handed pitching.
323 he hit this year against lefties, and there was a lot of concern in that A's dugout as to why he wasn't playing against the left-handed pitching they've seen in this series to get more offense.
Slots now looks in. Well, look at the eyes. Focused again here in game 3. 1-2 to Scudero.
Well, he tried Scudero with 2 strikes up and away. I think set up a little changeup, trying to get the ground ball, get a double play.
It's a hard thing to tell yourself to do, but if you're a hitter in this situation, you've got to sit off speed.
Yeah, there it was.
There it was.
And that's just Kenny Rogers. You know, he doesn't break the 90-mile-an-hour mark very often with his fastball. And right now he's not throwing his fastball with intent to throw it for a strike.
In Oakland, he would have broken 90 miles an hour with his fastball.
2-2. Grounded down to third. Inge to second. The turn. Not in time.
Well, here we see the difference. Watch Polanco. He's going to step back away from the bag, which is the third way to be able to turn a double play. Put your left foot on the bag, step away from it, and throw with all your momentum.
Kenny Rogers, high fives, standing ovation. What a sensational outing again tonight by this postseason off-maligned left-hander, Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers leads with 1 on and 1 out here in the top of the 8th inning. We caught up with Kenny Rogers about this special Detroit team before the game today.
When you get a group of guys together that understand and are coached and managed the way we are, we've learned how to play the game the right way. And when you do that and get that type of guys together, it's a unique atmosphere. And I think we all enjoy each other. And I think as a result of playing the game as a unit and not separately.
Fernando Rodney takes over on the mound. Kelty will stay in to hit. He's a switch hitter, but has done far more damage against left-handers than against right-handers. And that's not only this year, but his entire career. This season at .325, with 7 of his 8 home runs against left-handed pitching, in .229 against the righties. Rodney has been sensational as he's moved up the ladder in that Detroit bullpen for games 2 and 3 due to the injury to Joel Zamaya.
Fernando Rodney gets left-handers out almost better than he gets right-handers out because he's got that great changeup.
And that good high riding fastball also.
That one at 93, we've seen him run it up there. 95, 96, 97.
Well, you know, it seems like Detroit has a bigger lead in this game than they actually do. I mean, we used the term the other night. The A's in this situation are a bloop and a blast from tying this thing up. But against that Tiger bullpen, a tall order indeed. Double play ball here. Look at Polanco. And the throw is in time. Guillen got the toe